was living in the United States of America in the dark years of there, when the invasion of Iraq was starting and all sorts of wonderful Bushisms were taking place. And he saw the proverbial writing on the wall and decided to move to Canada just in time for the Canadian dollar to go past the American dollar. And now he's getting paid in the right currency. And he's doing his PhD at Ryerson. And
actually, it's in European graduate school.
Okay, so he's teaching at Ryerson, he's doing his PhD at another school. And he was part of the San Francisco peak oil group. And when he came to Toronto, he said, hey, look, hey, I want to. So he joined us and has been on the executive and the planning committee for a number of years. And I'd like you all to welcome Henry Ward. Thank you.
Yeah, basically I'm getting my PhD at the European Graduate School in South State, Switzerland, where I'm working on an ecological critique of information and communication technology. Of course, obviously, petroleum has a lot to do with that because this is ICT, information communication technology, and it's all made out of oil. But the reason why I'm here is to introduce our guest this evening, and his name is Herr Professor Uwe Schulz, and he is from Stuttgart, Germany, and he studied aerospace engineering and such fine things like that, and he now teaches at the Stuttgart Media University. He's very aware of peak oil, and he realizes that everybody here is pretty much aware of peak oil as well, so we're not going to dwell on the things that we all know about. He's also very clear on climate change and, you know, the obvious elements in the room. So therefore, what he's going to be doing is basically go over an intro. He'll talk about who he is and what he's doing, and then the high points that I think are going to be interesting for us in general are what is energy in Germany, what is the energy, what's going on there. I have a note that says it's surprisingly good news, so that'll be interesting to know and find out about. And when he became aware of all this kind of information, he said he's going to do something, so he worked on his house in a very interesting way. So I think we'll be fascinated with his plans and his results, and especially the economics involved. And then there'll be a conclusion and lots of Q&A. So, Uwe, sure.
Thank you very much. I think there's enough said about my person, so I go right into the talk. I've been interested about these topics for quite a while, so I will first talk about why I think about renewable energy, why I did this thing. And I will talk about renewable energy in Germany, what we have achieved so far and what we are likely to achieve in the next 20, 30 years. And then the 2009 and the 2024 refer to my home in Stuttgart, our house, which we turned into a nearly zero energy house, and in 2024 it's going to be a plus energy house, and I'm not going to do. There were early warnings. I'm going to say this pretty quick, but we've been thinking about these issues really for a long time. I did read The Limits of Growth. I did understand it, but I think at that time I didn't really understand the implication. I did read part of the Global 2000 report, which was issued in 1980, and that is already pretty scary. And if you look in this old report, you see many of the things that are not happening now, and many of the problems we are running into right now are clearly foreseen in this report. And my family, myself, and many friends of mine have been thinking about these issues for a long time, but in an environment, especially in a political environment, where it's kind of unclear what to do. The peak oil issue was also an issue that I read about, I think, first time around 1990 or 95. And I can tell you, when I read this first report about peak oil, and then read a little bit more, and read the book by Colin Campbell, I'm not the kind of scary kind of person, but this really scared hell out of me, because peak oil will be a huge problem for many, many people on this planet. I mean, of course, there will be losers and winners, like always, but for many people, this will be a truly harsh situation for probably a whole generation. By 20 or 30 years, this planet is going to be completely different than it was in the last 100 years. But of course, you know about people, I'm not going to talk about that. And this is a sentence we even talked about in 1970s, I know. And this sentence also is pretty true, and it gets more and more true. I just saw the film The End of the Line a couple of days ago about the overfishing of the sea, another scary thing, and I don't know what we're doing to our planet, but mankind is truly crazy. So, that is why I came to think about these things. And before I go into the details of my house and what I personally did or what my family personally did, I would like to give you a short overview of what has happened in Germany in the past 10 years. I think we're on a pretty good path there. And what will most likely happen in Germany in the next 10 years, or the next 20 years, just so we have something to discuss about maybe. By the way, if you have questions, please interrupt me. No problem with that. If we discuss something right then when the slide is up, it will be probably much easier, and I think we can take the time anyhow. So in Germany, we have gone through this thing which I call realism and utopianism, that always in the past industry has said renewables don't make sense. It was mostly industry that always claimed we will never have more than, what did I say here, 8% of electricity production renewables by 2020. The goal of the government was 10% by 2010, not long ago. And then something happened which really brought the country forward. In 2000, we got a government which was by the Green Party, which was run by the Green Party, plus by the Socialist Party. You might remember the names Schröder. Schröder was our Chancellor, and Fischer was our Foreign Minister. Fischer was from the Green Party, and Schröder was from the Environmentalist Party. And they completely changed the picture. In 2001, the legislation completely changed. I will show you in a minute. And from that on, we really went into a path going into renewables at a pace which is right now almost drastic. In 2010, we are probably at 18.6%, meaning 18.6% of our electricity comes from renewables. Now, we have to say where we started from. I mean, we always had renewables, we always had some water power, but we started off at about 5% in 2000 and came to 18.6% 10 years later. So that's a big increase. That's 1.5% per year, 1.6% per year. And if we go on like that, we are on a good path. And all the prognosis we had in Germany, all those done even by Greenpeace and other NGOs, all these prognoses have not foreseen this. They have always been below this. Yes?
Would you say what you mean by renewables?
Well, it's mostly, for the time being, it's mostly wind, additional water. So there's a couple of new water plants being built in Germany. And then it's to a smaller extent, but I show it in some, I have some exact figures. So I show it more detail. But for the time being, it's very much wind. But what is totally catching up right now is photovoltaics. So the photovoltaics production in Germany has almost doubled in a year. It's incredible. Okay, these are, I'm just showing this slide so you get an idea of what the kind of political thoughts were 10 years ago. All these predictions here are predictions of different companies or different institutes, and this is what really happened. And this is where we are now in Germany. And there are predictions from the government that went like this, or like this. There were even predictions that said going down because it doesn't make any sense economically, right? And the best prediction we have so far is this one, which is done by the DLR, that's the German Aerospace Agency, so it's a large research institute, and they have been always pretty close. But even this light studie, even this one, and I'm going to refer to this a couple of times, pretty much underestimated how fast renewables grew. Now this is total, this is not just electricity, this is renewables in electricity production, renewables in heat, and a little bit in traffic. I mean, traffic doesn't play any role here. So that's very interesting to see that none of these people, and especially the people, and this is what you just said, especially the people that came from economics. Now, this was an economical institute. This was an economical institute. Yeah. So they just calculated by the numbers of dollars in Europe and have no idea what's really behind it. And you see what happens, you know. And those people are still trying to tell us that what's happening is bullshit because it's too expensive. I mean, this is always the claim about it. Renewables are too expensive. Well, they are expensive right now, but it's an investment. It's an investment in the future, and every investment costs something, right? Okay. One thing you have to understand is the German prices of electricity. The German prices of electricity are extremely high. Right now, I usually pay something like, and this is without tax, like 19 euro cents per kilowatt hour. That means with tax, I pay about 22 euro cents per kilowatt hour. And that's about 27, 28, 29 cents of your cents per kilowatt hour. Now you get a kilowatt hour for about 10 cents, or even lower than that. So no?
Mine last year was 14 cents average of the whole year, including all additional costs. Metered power in.
Okay.
All costs taken into account.
This is without meter power. This is without any additional cost. This is without tax, and this is without like what you have to pay a month for the meter and things like that. This is just what you pay for the kilowatt.
Okay, so 14 cents is probably
pretty good. Yeah.
In Canada.
Yeah. So this is the German electricity price as it was in the past. And I'm just predicting that we will at least have an increase of 6% per year. I think that's pretty reasonable. Yeah.
So how's that price determined?
This?
Yeah, how you figure, like how, is there some, like here in Ontario we have this energy board that sets the price of electricity, and there's a little bit of market stuff going on, but how does this one?
The market in Germany is free, so anybody that can produce electricity can put electricity in the grid and buy it to anybody else. So you can put it in the grid in Hamburg and buy the electricity to somebody in Stuttgart. And the company that runs the grid just has to make sure that it's being so to speak transported. Of course, you're not buying the electrons from Hamburg, but yes.
No, but there's no sort of government interference with the price.
No, not at all. Not at all. This is, for instance, in France, and in France, electricity is much cheaper. So probably because France only has one big company running electricity, providing electricity, EDF, and this company is owned by the government, and they don't make so much profit. But these are profit-making companies, and they just sell you to the price that they can get.
Is the company running the grid government regulated?
No. Well, there is some kind of regulation. There is a government agency that regulates the grid in the sense that it. For the grid, the prices are fixed. Right, the government fixes the prices that the grid company can take for transporting the energy. So that is regulated. I don't know exactly how, but that is regulated, but not the end price that somebody is paying. Of course, this is priced for private people. If I'm a company taking so and so many megawatt hours a year, I'm probably down here somewhere. Yeah? This is what you would pay as a private person. So this is very high compared to what you are used and what you are used in the United States, because energy in Germany is very expensive. Now, what happened in the year 2003, and I'm starting here at 2004 because that's when I got tracked, we got a law in Germany by the socialist and green government, and this law said anybody can input his photovoltaic or his other renewable electricity into the grid. And if I put up a photovoltaic system, I get a fixed price, and this is regulated for 20 years. So if I put on a photovoltaic system now, or if I would put it up in 2004, for every kilowatt hour I put into the grid, I would get 56 cents. And this dropped every year. So there was a drop here and a little bit more drop here, and here we see a sharp drop right now. And this is simply because we have a different government, and this government is extremely conservative.
So, and if anybody, I'm going to take too much time, just let me know.
Yeah.
So that, those drops, were they in new contracts or on existing contracts?
In new contracts. So if I have a contract in 2004, I put up a large PV in 2004, then I will get 56 cents for the next 20 years.
And how did that